Mediunic message, November 19, 2015. Much light in this environment. May the entire planet be flooded with peace, love, and harmony in this very difficult moment we are going through, which is no surprise to us. Jesus not only foresaw that all this would happen, but prepared the planet for it. Enlightened spirits are incarnating in great numbers on earth so that in a few years' time they can accelerate the transformation of many minds. The plan is in action. It's up to you to pray, remain vigilant, trust, and work without stopping. We greatly need you and your vibrations in this final moment of transition. Remember, much will be required of those to whom much has been given. I speak of all the mediums on the planet. This is a moment for prayer and reflection, since you still do not have love and mercy in your heart. We must, besides refraining from judging and doing evil, reflect on what bothers us in others, for they are a mirror of ourselves, and we are only irritated and annoyed by what is still present in us. What we have already overcome within ourselves does not bother us in others, because that situation simply no longer finds reciprocity in our inner selves. It is interesting that there would be no inner reform or progress if we lived isolated and alone in a cave. We need this exchange with others, even if conflicting. From conflict arise and lights of understanding in this life or the next one. It is true that some brothers and sisters will only understand the extent of their mistakes when confronted by their own conscience in the spiritual life. Evil as a state of consciousness is temporary. If we, who are a little better, had the opportunity to commit terrible mistakes, why wouldn't our suffering brothers and sisters have the same opportunity here on earth? Of course, due to the moment of planetary transitions toward a world of regeneration, these brothers and sisters are having their last opportunity on earth. The reassignment of incarnated and disincarnated spirits on the planet began a few decades ago and will continue for quite some time. See, for example, the book of Genesis in the chapter The Times Are Come. It's Allan Kardec Genesis, okay? Number 4. The universe is at the same time an immeasurable mechanism driven by an uncountable number of intelligence, and an immense government in which every intelligence being has its role of action under the eyes of the sovereign Lord, whose single will maintains unity everywhere. Under the rule of the vast regulation power, everything moves, everything functions in perfect order. Where it seems to us that there are disturbances, those are only partial and isolated movements which appear irregular to us only because our vision is limited. If we are able to see the whole, we would realize that such irregularities are only apparent and that they harmonize with the whole. Humanity has already accomplished up to the present unquestionable progress. Men with their intelligence have reached results never before achieved in the sciences, arts, and material well-being. There is still, however, immense progress to be made, that of having charity, fraternity, and solidarity reign among them, and thus ensure moral well-being. They cannot achieve this with their benefits or with their outdated institutions, relics of another age, which were good for a certain time, sufficient for a transitional state, but which, having, having given everything they could, will now be an obstacle. It's no longer only a matter of developing intelligence that men need, but of elevating sentiment, and for that is necessary to destroy everything that intensifies selfishness and pride in them. Number 6. In this time, however, it is not a matter of a partial change, or renewal limited to a certain region, or to a people or a race. It's the universal movement, operating in the direction of moral progress. A new order of things tends to establish itself, and men who oppose it must work for it in spite of themselves. The future generation, free of the impurities of the old world and formed by only purified elements, will possess ideas and feelings very different from those of the present generation, which is disappearing at a giant pace. The old world will be dead and will only live in history, as do the times of Middle Ages today, with their barbaric customs and superstitious beliefs. But such a radical change as the one being developed cannot happen without disturbances, which is inevitably a clash of ideas. From this conflict will naturally arise temporary disturbance until the ground is leveled and balance restored. It is therefore from the struggle of ideas that the grave events foretold will spring, and not from purely material cataclysms or catastrophes. The generic cataclysms were a consequence of Earth's formative state. Today, it's no longer the entrails of the planet that tremble, it is those of humanity. When it is said that humanity has reached a period of transformation and that the earth must rise in the hierarchy of worlds, see nothing mystical in these words. See, on the contrary, the execution of one of the great immutable laws of the universe, progress, against which all human ill will breaks. Arago. Ending of the chapter. Now back to the message. It may still have time before we see effective results from the struggle of good, because evil continues to gain more attention in the media. On the other hand, countless tragedies are avoided every day that most incarnated people never learn about. This means the forces of good are not on vacation in the face of the scourges and wars that persist on the planet. Jesus and the higher spiritual spheres are attentive to the crucial moments that approach. The weeping and gnashing teeth of suffering that precedes the calm. Now, more than ever, you must banish despair over the world's situation. Facing all this without sensationalism. Understand that is a necessary purification process, that before things get better, they will still get worse. We call on your everyone not to align with the defeatism and despair now that everything seems to be fading apart, for it's precisely at this moment that we must show our faith in the midst of crisis, seeing them as the opportunities for growth and reflecting that Jesus, the governor of the planet, will not allow all to be lost. Many things you still cannot understand due to the limited stage of evolution you find yourselves in, which is no shame at all. The two guiding words are faith and works. Have faith that no one will be abandoned or go through unnecessary suffering or pain. Faith that you will continue to have what is necessary to live and carry out your mission here on earth, whatever it may be. Faith that all missions, even those that seem unimportant, are part of a single great mechanism. The faith that all of you are co creators of the divine work here on earth. Keep in mind that you have a greater responsibility than your more ignorant brothers that don't have this information. Do not spread or join negative streams of thought, which form devastating energetic egregores that greatly hinder our work. Life may be difficult, but aligning with the thinking of people who advocate revolutionary and negative ideas will not help. On the contrary, the law of attraction says that we draw to ourselves the sadness or joy we fix in our thoughts, a powerful magnet far more than we can imagine. You are frequently what you think. Therefore, your homework I leave for you is prayer and above all vigilance. The crisis can become a moment of opportunity depending on how we look at it. Step out of the box, out of the confining thinking pattern you have placed yourselves in. We are always with you, suggesting solutions and ideas that may be very useful to you. Instead of complaining or agreeing with those who do not waken, pray, trust, remain vigilant, work, and listen to our conscience, for we will be there. May the Almighty God and Jesus bless you all. Thanks to God. Until the next message. Bye.